Hey guys, Wrestling Throwdown here. I'm Haley and this is Joe, and we are going to talk about TNA. Now, I know I haven't done TNA in the past like 3 weeks, so we're kind of just going to go a little bit all over the place today, talking about obviously this past week's, and then kind of like um, talking about like obviously what kind of stuff has been happening since they've been on this new channel, Destination America or whatever it's called. I know a lot of people cannot watch, and I know a lot of my friends messaged me and they kind of were like, oh, I don't have that channel, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully once we do reviews and everything now every week, you guys can know what's going on, and I'm sure you guys can look it up too, but because it's all over the web anyways. But yeah,
Hey, we
so
analyzation of the wrestling news and reactions right here in the Wrestling Throwdown. Your host Haley, that's man. So that's how
and
we
thank
do
you
it.
so much for all the subscribers. We gained like I think like 4 or 5 just from that one video, so that was awesome. So thanks so much, guys, for that.
Big shout out, by the way, to Corey Vaughn, one of our new followers and subscribers. He's a Rhode Islander like myself. Big YouTuber. He's known for doing like the highlight videos for the local guys. He did one for JT Dunn, who was a former CCW tag champ and a real big star from the New England area and kind of Providence's guy. Like he's kind of RCM Punk, like when it comes down to like our guy. And he did this highlight video of him, and Dunn actually liked it so much that Dunn started using the song as his new song. He used to use Fly Like a G6, but now he's using that song. And Chris Sterling's promotion, RWA, actually played it at their show Friday night.
Oh,
So a big shout out
cool.
for been following. I'd love to get him on one of these shows. I know he certainly was feeling the content, and he really enjoyed our Rumble review.
Yeah, I just started talking to him. He's a cool guy. He knows his stuff.
He does.
Alrighty. Sorry, guys. I'm just getting over being sick, so sorry if
Me
I
too.
sound a little weird. But
You got
I guess we'll talk about first what happened about 3 weeks ago. Obviously, they were kind of finishing up the feud with Bobby Roode and Bobby Lashley. And MVP was kind of, they were obviously kind of bickering, MVP and Bobby Lashley, obviously to break them up. And Bobby Lashley obviously turned face in that process. And he obviously retained it, but with a little bit of help because MVP, TNA is known for doing this. I've noticed like at least every year they have a heel group. And
too
since
bad.
they're big for this, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The only one I really liked was Main Event Mafia. That was really the only one that I got really into.
Main Event Mafia with Booker and Steiner and
Yeah, definitely. That was the good one.
yeah,
I mean,
you
Aces
added
and Eights wasn't too bad. I did like the concept a little bit, but it just kind of got just messy at the end, and it was just kind of like thrown together, I thought.
I
So,
mean, there was a Hulk Hogan's group when they turned Jeff Hardy heel. Of course, there was Aces and Eights. A few incarnations of the Main Event Mafia. I mean, we've seen it over and over. What was Flair's group that ended up being Babyface's Fortune. We've seen it a bunch of times with these heel groups, and it really is stale. Although I don't fault it in a way, and I kind of like you said, you saw a few weeks ago was Lashley and Rude 3, the culmination of their series of matches, and Rude had just won the title after fighting for it for a year after, TNA programming ended around November on Spike TV. So they had an imaginary 2-month run. He comes back in January, the first episode on Destination America, which was a very good episode, I thought. I liked Awesome Kong coming back. I like Josh Matthews on commentary. I like the new presentation, and we'll go into some of that as we go here. But, they have a chance to make Rude or Lashley look strong with a definitive victory in the series. And, of course, I mean, me and you both said it. We could see a face turn with Lashley coming. So not shocked how they did it. And obviously it would connect the dots in the next few weeks. They essentially helped Lashley win the belt. Samoa Joe and Low Ki turn heel. 2 TNA, obviously long-tenured, long-time originals. TNA Hall of Famers in their own right, if they were to legitimately look at it that way. So they turn heel, and they join MVP and Kenny King. And then out comes Eric Young to add a super swerve. And that's what really made it like, ugh. I mean, they add this Eric Young thing to this whole Team Canada, one of the original heel factions of TNA. finally, Eric Young turns heel and stands up for himself, says Bobby Roode never visited him in the hospital or whatever crockish shit he was cooking up. So it was a little over the top, and I thought he didn't need all of that. You could have had all of that and not had. You could have saved the Eric Young heel turn at least a month. I don't know. It was a bit overkill.
Yeah. And then there was just I don't know if how you feel about this group, but the people in the group. But Samoa Joe, I never liked the guy. I know this is bad because I know a lot of people like him, but it just seems like they don't know what to do with him, and like he's always in every single one of these groups. Like he's always like kind of
Yeah,
involved
no.
with anything. Like it's just like they're running out of ideas for him, so like they'll kind of he's almost kind of reminding me of like a Kane and Big Show a little bit, like the heel and face turn almost. Um,
Well, I can't believe you went there. That one just hit me hard.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, no,
It had to be
don't
said.
apologize. You don't apologize because you're absolutely right. This is the way of putting it. Look, him and Abyss, I guess you could characterize in that
Yeah, this is
regard.
another one definitely.
Or maybe as well. A few of these guys I would throw in that category. But yeah, Joe, I always said and felt that Joe should have went to WWE around 2009, 2010 when his contract expired. Also, Joe was fully assassinated when Hulk Hogan and company came in. They didn't like Joe. At that point, Joe still had traction. Joe was coming off the original main event Mafia run. He had joined that group towards the end, and I actually thought that was a good rub for him to be there with Nash and Steiner and Booker and Angle and Sting. And like you said, I really was feeling the original main event Mafia. And Mick Foley was there at the time as well. He said on record that was by far TNA's peak in terms of money, revenue, ratings, whatever you measure it by. So it was a good time in TNA at that point, but Joe should have went to WWE at that point, and he had so much history with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, and I could say the same about Austin Aries as well. I think they both were free agents around then, and they both decided to re-sign with TNA. They both should have made the jump to WWE, in my opinion. Joe, there was interest for Joe. There were guys like Mick Foley and Steve Austin advocating, and of course CM Punk and many others advocating for Daniel Bryan, advocating for Joe to come in. I mean, look what happened to Nigel McGuinness. People forget about this. Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson left Ring of Honor at the same time. He ended up going to TNA as Desmond Wolfe. Had a decent run there, had some good matches with Angle, but then health reasons had to force him to retire early, and now you see Nigel as like the Ring of Honor commissioner kind of gimmick. It keeps him busy, keeps his food on his plate, so, and he's grown into the role. But it's funny, I feel like TNA, you almost kind of got to look at it like how people look at Ring of Honor. You can stay too long there. I think AJ might have got out at the right time because, God bless you. You look at AJ Styles' popularity. It seems to me he's more popular than ever on the Indies and in Ring of Honor than he was in TNA, and I was a huge fan of him in TNA. So I mean, I'm all over the place. Like you said, this video may be all over the place. We gotta kind of connect the dots with a few episodes here. But yeah, the beatdown queen. My thoughts on it. I don't like that Eric Young's in it. I don't mind Joe and Low Key, at least adding Low Key as well. You have 2 TNA originals joining, and I guess you count Eric Young, 3 TNA originals. I don't think Eric Young fits at all, and it's awkward. It's adding a layer of awkwardness to this that I'm just particularly not feeling. And Eric Young has had the new haircut. He looks like a ripoff of Tommaso Ciampa from Ring of Honor, where last year he looked like a ripoff of Daniel Bryan with the beard. So, I mean, Eric Young, I'm not really sure what to say about EY at this point. I've been a supporter of Showtime Eric Young for many years. I was glad they put the belt on him. Wasn't really a successful run by any stretch of the imagination. And it was preceded by Magnus's flat run. So you had 2 flat runs coming off AJ dropping it and leaving the company. And that's been the problem with the title, with the booking. And, like, right now you have Lashley as the champion, pulling it full circle. They're really trying to build. It's funny. You're seeing this kind of de facto face turn with Lesnar, and now you're seeing it with Lashley. They're being booked very similarly. if you really start analyzing it. It's quite interesting. So I think it's good that he's turning babyface. I knew once they did the Beatdown Clan he was gonna do babyface. I just knew it. And they played it out in last week's episode where he ended up confronting MVP. I'll tell you what, as much as Bobby Lashley's grown, he's still awkward as hell on the mic. That whole segment last week where he was like, "Give me my belt," like Kenny King. Kenny King got a really good promo on him. I really like Kenny King. I think he's got a lot of potential. I liked him in Ring of Honor too. He kind of turned his back on Ring of Honor the way he went to TNA, but I've always been a fan of Kenny King. I think his talent gets forgotten about. But
I noticed a lot of people do like him, but I think he's one of those Ring of Honor guys, because usually that's where all the talent comes from TNA and WWE. It's where most of it comes from is Ring of Honor.
He was the Ring of Honor.
I never could really get into him.
He was the Ring of Honor tag team champion with I forget who his partner was. I think it was Rhett Titus. And he left the company abruptly to sign with TNA. Kind of pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad choice, to tell you the truth. If I had to choose from TNA to Ring of Honor, I definitely would go with Ring of Honor.
And you heard me rant on Davey Richards on this show in the past. Actually got good ratings from what I remember. Look, I like Kenny King a lot better than I like Davey Richards. I think he's got the personality.
I do too. I would have to say that.
He reminds me in many ways of a young MVP. You know what I mean? Like how MVP was when he was in WWE. And I think Kenny King's got potential to maybe be a TNA World Champion in the future if he sticks with the company. I think he's got AJ Styles type talent, Jay Lethal type talent in the ring. You just haven't seen that because they haven't booked him strong. They
haven't really done anything with him, and I think that's why I'm kind of iffy on him. Because my brother's like that too. We really haven't seen that much.
They've booked the Wolves a lot stronger than they booked him. I actually give them credit how they booked the Wolves for the most part. Kenny King, he's been attached to the hip now to MVP. Eventually, he's got to turn face and stand up for himself because he's really been the Virgil of the group. And he's been the one guy to stand by MVP's side through this whole thing. So I wouldn't be shocked if eventually he turns babyface, and maybe I think there's money in him as a babyface. And there's been a lot of people saying that about Seth Rollins as well. That's been coming off the Royal Rumble. A lot of people are saying you should turn Seth babyface and turn Roman heel. Not to talk too much WWE on this show. We're trying to be TNA centric. I know you're feeling that. But that's what the internet's buzzing about right now. I heard it on Wrestling Soup. There's a lot of podcasts that are talking about it right now. So I feel like for Kenny King, especially since you just did all these heel turns, you turned Lashley face, I think in a few months, have them start really making Kenny King look like the guy that they're pushing him around. It could be maybe like how Billy Kidman started getting over in WCW, coming out of the flock, Ravens flock. I think Kenny King's got potential, I really do, but right now, it's almost overkill because there's too many guys in the group right now if you count Eric Young. And I don't hate it, but like you said, Haley, you started the show at a great point. It's just another heel faction. And by the way, there's two other heel factions on the show. You know what I mean? You got the bromance kind of faction with the beautiful people, and you got James Storm's fake Wyatt.
James Storm's one, yeah, that technically, yeah.
The Revolution.
James Storm's thing, he added another one, that one new guy. What's his name?
I got to talk to him as well. I don't know if you want to save that or get right into him. He was actually a huge star in India. I forget his name. They acknowledged it on the show. But they named him Chewy or some weird name, which means lost. And James Storm's trying to make this character for him he needs revolution. He's this young green guy who needs revolution, pretty much. So it's interesting. I think he's got potential as well. I think TNA has a lot of good young guys on their roster, and I think they're finally starting to flourish. I think Kenny King's got potential to be one of them, but I think a lot of them, you know what I mean. Even Magnus is looking better. I'm really looking up and down this roster, and it's looking pretty good right now. It's not the best it's ever been, but it's still pretty good by all standards.
Yeah, and I mean, there was obviously some complaints saying that obviously the first TNA show was a little too good, that they gave us way too much.
They set the
that
bar.
it's not going to be enough. Like, they're not going to be able to keep it elevated.
Well, I mean, you saw Awesome Kong made her reappearance in TNA, and I think that was great for the company. In a way, it was kind of sad for Kong herself, who should have been a big star in WWE and made that big debut against Michelle McCool, and never quite got the
Yeah,
payoff.
she had some attitude problems, I guess. I guess she just like did not want to listen to them, and they tried working
Yeah,
with her. Seth was like that though too in the beginning. Some of them just have big egos.
Diamond Dallas Page, that's how he got his legs chopped off in WWF when he came over. Because Undertaker had legit heat with him because he felt like DDP was like that. And
And
Undertaker,
Davey Richards too, for example, he was supposed to be in WWE and he didn't even make it until I don't even think he was on TV yet. But he they had him on NXT or whatever, and I think they only had him for a month or two, and like his attitude. And now this one doesn't surprise me because obviously we're talking about Davey Richards here. And me and Joe can go on and on about this guy's attitude and how we don't like him. I've never liked him. I think he's an asshole. Sorry for the language, but it's the truth. And obviously WWE felt the same way. And I felt bad for Eddie Edwards because obviously they bring both of them in as the Wolves at that time, and Eddie Edwards had to obviously, um, I mean, because of Davey's attitude, he had to be punished for it, and I felt like that was really messed up. So obviously they did not. They only lasted like a month or two, and that's why they're in TNA now.
wrestling's funny. I mean, sometimes you got to be careful who you attach yourself to in wrestling, because, like, I mean, that's happened in the past many times. Road Dogg got fired by WWF, and they fired K-Quick, who, of course, is R-Truth, Ron Killings, for no reason at all. That's why they both went to TNA in the early stages, Ron Killings and Road Dogg. The guy who died recently, Sean O'Hare, he got punished and de-pushed and fired because he was connected with Rowdy Piper, which they made the call with, not him. And then Rowdy Piper went on HBO and did a stupid interview, and they punished Sean O'Hare for it. So there's been a precedent for this set in wrestling for years where guilty by association, kind of. I mean, look at Jim Ross got fired because Ric Flair was drunk and acting stupid. So, yeah, I mean, it goes on, and I feel bad for Eddie. I think Eddie could have been a big star on his own in NXT and in WWE. Just the matches he could have had with the all-star cast they have in NXT, from Finn to Sammy to Neville, to go down the list. I mean, everybody. So, and they could have been a great tag team as well. But yeah, Davey, I talked about in the show how he left Ring of Honor. Similar story to Kenny King. Only at least Kenny King, like, I could kind of understand because he was, he was probably newer to the business and he saw a paycheck and grabbed it. Where Davey, they signed with NXT and Eddie fulfilled every indie booking. I actually saw Eddie's last indie booking in Providence. He wrestled Biff Busick in an Iron Man match, which was one of the best Iron Man matches I've ever seen. Incredible. Eddie's amazing, and Davey is as well as a talent, But I do think Eddie on his own could do so much better. I mean, they're a great tag team, don't get me wrong, and they got the potential to be one of the best tag teams of the modern era if they stay together for a long time, and they already have in Ring of Honor in the Indies, so, I mean, they're already on their way, but I feel like, some guy, Kenny King as well, I mean, some guys are better off going on their own, and I kind of hope they both go on to single success and become singles champions on their own.
Yeah. Also, what happened? Obviously, MVP and the Beatdown Clan, they stole Bobby Lashley's title, and they pretty much said, oh, since you don't want to join us, this is our title now because we helped you get it. And obviously, this week in the Fatal 4-Way, Bobby Lashley obviously retained his title, so obviously it's his now. So
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. I do end up seeing MVP obviously beating him and taking the title. That's what I see.
I think you're right. It kind of annoys me. But you know what? He never won the WWE World title, and we were happy for Christian and Kennedy and some of these guys who never got title shots who ended up getting the title in TNA. So I mean, it is what it is. He's been their main heel for a while now, and at least he's not in like a general manager role anymore. So, yeah, I could see it. I kind of hope. I mean, Austin Aries has the briefcase, which is how this match set up. You know, Rude came out, and Rude's obviously complaining that he never got his rematch, and which he was right about. And Aries comes out and cuts a good promo and saying that, look, I can catch you anytime, you know, because that Feast or Famine briefcase is kind of like a Money in the Bank concept. You can cash it in anytime.
Yeah, but it never expires or whatever, so they can use it like 3 years down the road. That's what I like about that.
James
And then
Storm
it
is
every
in.
year, so then you forget that they have it.
Yeah. James Storm won it last year and just cashed it in
And
recently.
I was so shocked. I was like, wait, what the hell is that? I'm like, he still has that? And like, you completely forget and it surprises you.
Yeah, so, you know, it's not bad. And, you know, I like the Feast or Famine concept. I'm glad they brought it back. I think Rockstar Spud's really going to I'll get into him in a minute.
I actually think that's how him and EC3 are going to finish their feud. It's going to be, because I'm telling you right now, I think EC3 still has the briefcase. I don't remember him turning it in.
And like,
not the EC3 briefcase too, or the EC3, the X division for the briefcase too. So maybe Spud cashes in or something, or maybe EC3 cashes in and he has it, and Spud, ends up winning it from him.
I think Spud's got a lot of potential. He's another one of those guys that I wasn't sure what to make of him at first. But the more I saw him, the more he entertained me, and I see him on these British wrestling talk shows. He's just an entertaining guy. I mean, he's like got that Spike Dudley quality, but he's almost like he looks a little bit better in the ring. No disrespect to Spike, who's a personal friend of mine. He actually goes to my family's church. But I think Rockstar Spud has a lot of potential, and Spike had to attach himself to the Dudleys throughout his career, where Rockstar Spud, I mean, now he's getting over on his own, and he's standing up for Jeremy Borash. Haley, what do you think about this whole Jeremy Borash thing?
I think it's ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just like, what are they trying to turn him into a wrestler now? Like, what's going on with this? I don't know. I don't think it's gonna last long. I'm hoping it's just for this feud that they're just doing this for him to kind of like help Spud out.
Yeah, I think it's.
I see EC3 obviously firing Brodus Clay or AKA Tyrus. Huh?
He fired Tyrus or Brodus or whatever.
I end up seeing that very soon.
I think he'll stick with Brodus for a while. Brodus still. He just got there. I mean, this whole ECD, Spud EC3 split still kind of new. So, I mean, it's TNA. Like, is it beyond TNA to just rip something apart after trying it right away? Absolutely not. But, I don't know. There's certainly criticisms you can give to TNA, and I actually see more good than bad. I like this Jeremy Borash thing, for example. I think it's interesting because they're going, like, you see EC3 going into production and they're kind of breaking the fourth wall with certain things, and you got Taz and now Josh Matthews on commentary. I think Matthews much better than Mike Tenay. Tenay had grown very stale in the role, and they still kept Tenay employed with the company. He's going to be doing the interview segments, and that's where he shines in those kind of segments. So I think they did the announcer situation right. I feel like Taz is almost invigorated because it seems like Taz, they're about the same age, and they've probably been cool since WWE, so it seems like there's a good rapport there with Taz and Josh Matthews. Although Josh Matthews growing a set of balls recently, I'm sure you heard of the whole Twitter war.
Yeah, I was shocked. I love Josh Matthews, and that pissed me off. I was like, and even JR said that, I'm surprised that this is coming from you. I'm shocked. Because, you wouldn't think that. Like, he is good, but, you don't talk like that to the best, commentator. Like, just seriously?
It's the greatest of all time, seriously. It's like Odell talking trap to Jerry Rice. You just don't do it. It's interesting because he's coming off kind of bitter towards WWE. I feel.
I think almost like maybe he was trying to be in character or something. Maybe TNA. Maybe he told him to take a shot at WWE or Maybe he
Wouldn't
was
be
just
shocked.
maybe it was just a little bit of personal stuff that he was just so pissed about them being fired that he was gonna take it out on
Maybe he felt
JR.
like there was opportunities back in the day with the company, but JR hung on so long, and maybe he's bitter about that. I mean, the whole thing derived from JR making kind of, and JR's older. He makes weird comments sometimes, whatever. He made a comment about the UFC fight night in Boston kind of winning the night compared to the two NFL AFC and NFC championship games that day, which is ridiculous in concept, but the fights themselves were very entertaining. A few of my friends went. They said they really enjoyed it. So, I mean, JR is entitled to his opinion, and it's like you'd think Josh Matthews, being a younger guy, would stick up for MMA, which is kind of a younger man, younger generation's following. And he was like, oh, if you think pretty much called JR out on Twitter saying, "Oh, if you think that UFC stole the show from NFL, you're stupid." Kind of passive aggressively, and JR responded. He was like, "Ooh, that was stiff, kid," and like Matthews was like, "Yeah, sometimes the truth is," and like then he kind of apologized or half-heartedly apologized the next day, but very sad tweet. The Solo Monster does a segment called the Sad Tweet of the Week that was featured on it last week on his show. It's just, I mean, I think he's doing a good job on commentary, but it's like now he's got a lead role on a
Yeah.
semi-important company. He's feeling entitled, and he's like popping shit to the greatest of all time. I'd be careful, and I'd be a little bit more humble, because, I mean, be a little bit thankful, too, because, granted, Josh Matthews was never really featured as a prominent number one lead commentator. It was always Michael Cole or James Ross or whoever. However, he was employed by World Wrestling Entertainment for 13 years. They put food on your table for 13 years. So I wouldn't be that bitter. I would be more bitter if I was a guy like Mark Eaton, who'd been with the company for 30 years, and then the ring bell guy that they fired.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was messed up.
He lives in the New England area. I have a friend who's personal friends with him, and he's actually selling off some merch and stuff, trying to pay the bills, and it's not a good situation.
Yeah, that's
But
really
like,
sad.
yeah. But like with Josh Matthews, I'm enjoying his on-air work. I think it's a breath of fresh air. Just look at it strictly from that. And they're doing the production in Memphis and not having the commentary there. I think that's different. I like it. You know what I mean? They're doing a lot of these segments on the street. You saw the Beatdown Clan fight.
Yeah, they're
Bobby.
doing it like the day before or something that it actually airs, and then they're kind of putting it together. Because I
Yeah,
guess that's what they did with the first episode. Like they taped it completely separately, the beginning to the whole rest of the show. Yeah, they completely.
Bram and Magnus were talking in a bar. Magnus was trying to PR with Bram, trying to get him on his tag team again. I kind of like because it's different. You don't see WWE doing this, and I know a lot of people like Lucha Underground. I don't get it in my area, or else I would watch it. But I do get Destination America. If you have Verizon Fios, you should get it. It's on channel 168 on Verizon Fios. I don't believe it's on Comcast or Direct. And that's 2/3 of the audience when you think about the three major cable companies. There's Comcast, there's Verizon Fios, and there's DirecTV. So, yeah, they kind of cut their audience in third by doing that. But
Yeah.
overall, I like the content, and I think they're trying. I really do. They bring in Kong. I like the potential of a Kong Havok big time match. I like that. And they're doing it the right way. They're not just like giving it to us right away. They're kind of building up to it. So I like what they're doing with that. We talked about Spud. I like how they're building him up. I like how the Feast or Famine thing now. You can build Austin Aries back up. I'm not sure what you think of Austin Aries, if you're a fan or not. I'm
I
actually a
love
huge
him.
fan. Yeah, I hope
Bobby
so.
Roode will always be my favorite in TNA, but he's a close second.
I feel like with Bobby Roode's push probably ending, it's smart to get him up there to elevate him back up. I mean, who else do they really have besides Jeff Hardy? We'll get to the Hardys in a minute.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, EC3, I would say he's ready, but he really hasn't had a title yet, so I feel like he needs to have X Division first before
See,
but he's definitely, I definitely see a Randy Orton in him. I definitely see some Randy Orton.
and he's a better talker than Randy. Much better talker than Randy. he's really grown on me the past year. I
Oh,
never thought
I've
Derek.
always liked him. I was so pissed. I liked him when he was in NXT. I was so pissed when WWE released him. I was like, you just made the biggest mistake. And they're probably like, wow. That's the thing, too. Like, they don't take a chance on some of these guys, and then TNA makes them.
Yeah, and that's what I like about TNA. Like they give these guys opportunities, and TNA is good for the business. I'm glad that TNA is still around, and it seems like at least on Destination America, they're going to be still producing content. They're not really doing a lot of house shows. I mean, overall, I feel like Magnus already a champion. I didn't think he was ready when they put the belt on him. I feel like Magnus and EC3 are ready, and I think Spud's ready to be an X Division shine. I think all three of those guys are absolutely ready. Magnus has grown. I like Bram as well. I like a lot of these guys. I feel like a lot of them have grown. So, and they've weeded out a lot of the bad signings they've had. Obviously, there's talk of them bringing in Drew McIntyre and Mickey James coming back, and that's fine. But I do feel like there's a lot of young talent, and they got me interested right now. They got me interested in what's going on. They got me interested in some of the storylines, although you're right about the heel factions. Haley screen appear to be frozen. Hopefully we can get her back in a second. I know it sounds like the infirmary up in here. I'm coming off a cold. She's coming off a cold. So both of our voices are a little askew, if you will. Oh, we got the screen flashed. Let's see if she comes back here live on Wrestling Throwdown. Joe Passarelli, Haley Imes. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button if you're feeling the content. Also, big shout out to the Strike Zone. Going to be live this Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. on rickradio.org. 90.7 FM if you're in the Providence area. You can call into that, 414-566-8787, 414-556-9946. Big shout out to Chris Soriano on the Soriano Network. Soriano has been posting the Wrestling Throwdown forum. Great YouTuber and works for Sirius as well. Discussed the Royal Rumble and stuff. Wanted to shout him out on the Wrestling Throwdown.
Okay, sorry about that.
She's back. Right. More things to talk about. Yay.
Okay. Yeah, my computer has not done that in a really long time, especially since I've had a fan on it now. But okay, I want to ask you a question, Joe. I've talked about this one in the past. I don't like her. I don't know why the hell she's Knockouts champ. I think the only person that she has a good matches with is people that can carry her, like Gail Kim. Gail Kim carries her in every single match. Terrell, I'm talking about if you didn't know. I think it's a huge mistake giving her the title, and let alone letting her beat Havok. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
And Havok only had it for, what, not even a month, like 3 weeks?
Yeah, I certainly would have kept the title on Havok and built to a Havok and Kong match, and I think having the title there for that would not have done any disservice. It would have been great for that to be the title, or have Gail Kim win the championship and make it a three-way. So look, her and Brooke, I kind of put in the same category almost. They're trying to make the new pretty young faces. Obviously, Velvet legitimately left the company, I believe, which is why they did the Feast or Famine thing. I think her contract was
following her man, Bully Ray, because they're going on in real life. I don't know if you knew that, but who knows? Maybe she might make it to WWE like him. So,
and that'd be great. I've always thought that Velvet Sky has the look to at least be somebody in WWE. I mean, look at the people they've given chances, the Camerons and the Eva Marie.
I think Angelina Love should have went to WWE too. She talked about wanting to go there, but I guess they just never gave her a contract or whatever.
I don't think they like her look. I think she looks too much like Maurice and then Summer Rae. So I don't think it would fit.
Yeah, probably.
Plus she's a little old. She's a little older than Velvet, and she's been around a long time. Great wrestler, but I think she's past her prime. You want my honest opinion? But yeah, Taryn Terrell. I think they're looking at it. She kind of looks like Penny from The Big Bang Theory, and I think it would have been smart for them to somehow acknowledge that in a way if they were gonna push her, give her the Trish Stratus push like they've been giving her. I don't hate her. I think I like her energy. I don't think she has bad matches. Sometimes like I catch her flaws in her matches. She's still green, obviously. I mean, she's been around. And her and Brooke, again, they both came from ECW when it was on WWE. She was the general manager, and Brooke was part of the dance team with Layla and Kelly. And I know people who follow both of them since their ECW run. So, I mean, at least they've paid their dues. They've been in the business. So I don't hate on them. But I agree with your points of, like, the title situation. She didn't need the title. They didn't need to do that. That was kind of a head-scratcher to build up Havok the way they did and have her chase Gale for so long. And they were having a good feud, her and Gale. And, you know, obviously Taryn was kind of mixed in there, and so were Brooke and some of the other ones. I think Brooke's got more star power. She's had the Maxim covers coming off the Amazing Race. Her and Robbie, I really feel like elevated themselves on that show. I think it was one of the few times one of these reality shows helped elevate a wrestler status, especially in TNA. So that was good to see. So I think Brooke's got a little bit more staying power and just overall ability than Taryn. I mean, hey, it's better than having Brooke Hogan in there. I will say that.
Well, yeah, that is true. I do find it interesting. I just actually thought about this. I didn't put two and two together, but now that I think about it, obviously, Drew Galloway just made his debut, and obviously with him working with his ex-wife, who apparently hit him and abused him. I don't really know. That was the rumor going around. But I don't know what's going to happen with those two working together. I'm actually kind of surprised that TNA, you know, has those two together and how Drew actually signed with them. I would think that there would be a huge problem there, but who knows? I am very excited, though, because I've always really liked Drew. I thought he was amazing in WWE. I thought they just didn't use him right. He was always one of my favorites. But, yeah.
Right. With the Chosen One thing, with Vince giving him the rub, but after that it was all downhill.
Yeah, they just I don't know if they lost hope in him. I don't know if like it was just because his mic skills weren't amazing, but I don't think they were bad either.
I think they're better than Shane.
Kind of it. Maybe they wanted him to, or maybe they just didn't have anything for him. I don't know.
They killed him off. They made him a comedy guy, and there was no coming back from that. That's pretty much the long and short.
Heath Slater is another one that I think is amazing, and people have talked about this too. My favorite wrestlers have even said that he's good, and that he does not deserve to be treated the way he is treated and everything. And
well, his buddy Gabriel,
they lost hope. They won't even give him a title. It's just like give him the U.S. Same with Damian Sandow. I don't really like Damian Sandow, but just give him the U.S. See if you can run with it, you know? I'm really worried about Damian Sandow, though. I think they're going to kill his push. I think it's going to work, and I posted this in the group a few hours ago, Joe. I don't know if you've seen it, but I asked people, and I said, do you guys actually think that his push is going to be successful and going to, you know, continue to rise, or do you think they're going to push him for so long and they're going to drop the ball again? I think that's what's going to happen.
I've said it before about him. I love him, but I feel like they're going to put him in the Santino role. He'll always have a job, and maybe once in a while he'll get a push. I mean, people forget Santino once played the Rusev role a couple years ago in the Royal Rumble in Boston, where he was the guy people forgot about and almost dumped Alberto Del Rio. Can you imagine that? They had Santino win the Royal Rumble.
That would have been awesome.
He also almost beat everybody's favorite, Daniel Bryan, in the Elimination Chamber in 2011 when Bryan was
I remember that, too. That was awesome, too.
That ended up culminating in Bryan losing to Sheamus in 30 seconds at WrestleMania, which is ironic. Bryan Sheamus, we all know that rumor going around.
Yeah, they did say that they're supposed to fight, but now I guess the rumor is, people are telling me, Ziggler is supposed to turn heel now. I knew Ziggler kind of threw it out on Twitter that he wants to face Bryan, but they don't want to have a face versus face match, and they don't want to turn Bryan heel, so they're thinking about turning Ziggler heel again.
There's an easy fix to this, and I don't know if I told you about it, but I talked about it recently. Make it a #1 contenders match.
That'd be awesome.
Triple H can come out and be like, look, everybody's giving me heat because Bryan and Ziggler don't push. Somehow I turned Triple H into Macho Man, whatever. But like
I know, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
The voice is going. I've done it, whatever. But, like, yeah, Triple H come out and be like, look, you guys love these guys so much. You know what? We're getting Roman and Brock for the title, but one of these, you know what I mean? You guys love these guys so much. Why don't you guys go kill each other? And the winner gets number one contender, gets either Brock or, Roman or Seth. I mean, so I think that could work. And I think if you turn Dolph's heel, they'll just cheer him even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's just a bad mistake. Let him be a face. Let it be a face versus face match. It's not the end of the world. John Cena and Daniel Bryan were both faces, and they fought. It's not the end of the world to have a face versus face match in a while, or a heel versus heel match once in a while. You know?
Yeah, and face versus face is usually something the fans want, and it sets up a dream scenario. Does anybody remember Steve Austin versus The Rock? Pretty much face versus face throughout every matchup. I mean, even when they were playing heels, they weren't hated. You know what I mean? So, I mean, everybody gave Hulk Hogan shit when, like, he was like, oh, Shawn's going to turn heel for SummerSlam back in 05. But it's like WWE does this all the time. They're scared. And they're hurting on baby faces as it is, I feel. I mean, they have a lot of guys, but they don't have guys that they're elevating. They have guys that they're just keeping in the same position. Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback. There's a bunch of them that all are pretty much ready. You know what I mean? I would have said Kofi Kingston before the Blue Day, but that's kind of killing him off. I would have said Cesaro this time last year, but we all know what's going on with him.
Yeah. And obviously, there was we talked a little bit about this, but obviously with Magnus having the tag team
Magnus
title, and me and my brother made a bet on this. He was just like, I know for a fact Magnus is going to get the fired briefcase, and I go, I don't think he is. I said, with him being with Bram and everything, I said, I don't think he is. And I didn't really know who was going to get it, but I was just like, I don't think it's going to be him. I was actually kind of surprised, though, that Spud actually did get the X Division, but obviously, like I said with EC3, I do think that those two can mix and obviously continue their feud and everything like that. But I do think Austin Aries with the briefcase for the world is a great thing. I do think, though, that some of those people that won last year for this, I do think they still have their briefcases. I think EC3 still has his. And maybe that is the only one, because I know the world was already used and the tag team was used. Yeah, I do think that's just the X Division.
Didn't he try to cash in against Bully Ray or AJ or somebody? Or Magnus? Wasn't it Magnus? It was somebody I thought he tried to cash it in on.
EC3?
Yeah, I thought he tried to cash it in.
I think maybe he did, but then I don't think he ever lost it. I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. I swear that I don't think he lost it.
When you lose the match, you lose it. Like, you don't keep it. So I think, I know he feuded with Sting. I'm drawing a blank. I know he did win the world briefcase last year or whatever. I drawn a blank. Maybe
I thought it was the X Division. I swear it was the X Division.
Oh, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
I thought it was the X Division. I don't know, because that's why they did with the Spud thing, so they can obviously continue feuding, but who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. We pretty much covered everything. We pretty much covered the whole group. Oh, well, how do you feel about the name? The Beatdown Clan. I know a lot of people are not liking that name, too.
I made a post on social media. I feel like there's a few things I want to ask you about too after this topic. I feel like I like how they're paying homage to the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm an old school hip hop guy, and obviously a lot of those guys in that group are as well. Low-Key, MVP, Kenny King, Joe. They seem like they're all kind of old school hip hop kind of fans. So I like how they're paying homage to it, wearing yellow. But overall, like, you were right in your analysis that this heel faction thing has been done for so many times that, I mean, if it'll elevate baby faces like Austin Aries and Bobby Roode and Lashley and Spud and others, then I'm not against it. I really don't like the Eric Young heel turn part of it. That's one thing I will say.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to turn him into Daniel Bryan, and now that obviously didn't work.
And
So now they're just doing this. And I wasn't watching TNA when he was in the Canada group. So I actually never seen him as a heel. This is the first time I've seen him as a heel, so I don't like it
he was
though.
like Rockstar Spud back then, like how you've seen Rockstar Spud in the past, like as a heel. That's kind of how he was like the lackey of Team Canada, because Team Canada was a big faction. You had Bobby Roode, Scott D'Amore was like the manager. Scott D'Amore is actually the manager of the Bullet Club now. You had how many guys were in there? It was a few. Obviously Eric Young, Petey Williams, who innovated the Canadian Destroyer. Then they tried to turn him into mini Scott Steiner at the end. He was in there, and I think I'm missing a guy or two. There was a few other guys. Well, it was a successful heel group. They always feuded with James Storm and Wildcat, Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted, and R-Truth's group, the Three Live Crew with Road Dogg and R-Truth and Conan. So, there was some good moments there. And yeah, they have been friends. Here's one thing I like about. I'm glad you brought this up. TNA is actually acknowledging their history, and Matthews seems like he's done his homework with the history, even acknowledging that Austin Aries was former Ring of Honor champ, and little things like that, which they used to acknowledge, which I think they had gotten away from. So, and WWE doesn't acknowledge other companies.
Yeah,
So again,
WWE acts like they've never seen certain matches before. They act like completely blank and just everything. That's what I don't like about that. Especially Michael Cole. I mean, I love Michael Cole, but he'll just be like, oh my God, this match, I've never seen it before, and we've seen it like 100 times in ROH.
two topics I wanted to hit off before we sign off about TNA. What are your thoughts about Kurt Angle in general at this point? Like, we've seen him in a few comeback matches now. I got some takes, but I was curious your takes. Kurt Angle was the GM for a while, so we didn't see him in the ring. He was doing fine as the GM. What do you think of him now that he's on the comeback trail and he's wrestling again?
It's interesting because obviously he tried to go back to WWE, like we said, and Triple H, turned him down. They were in a fight, blah blah blah. So he re-signed with TNA. So obviously, I think he's going to finish up with TNA now. I don't think there's really a possibility that he's going to go back to WWE now, especially with him and Triple H bickering. But I don't know. I thought the GM thing was working. I think he needed to stick with that. I mean, I don't know exactly what he could do, who he could feud with wrestling. I guess, him, Bobby Roode, and Bobby Lashley can kind of form a little group and kind of try and take out, Beatdown Clan. I mean, that's maybe something he can do. I don't see him winning any titles or anything, though. I don't see him really. I mean, I only see him being a wrestler, to tell you the truth, for maybe 3 to 4 months. I don't know if it's going to last long.
That's interesting you said that, because I mean, for me, I've followed Angle his whole career since he debuted in WWF. Always been a huge fan, and I always thought Kurt Angle, even for the most part in TNA, was still like a good worker, and like he could still hang with the young guys, and he could still look like it's believable that Kurt Angle is still a wrestling machine, as the moniker has been. I don't see that anymore, and you're even seeing it in how he's being booked. I mean, he fights one week, and what he beat? He made MVP tap or something, and then he fights the next week, and he taps to Joe like in kind of a quick squash match. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, this is Kurt Angle's big comeback. It was like the Daniel Bryan Rumble moment, but no one gave a shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I feel about Kurt now. Is like he looks like. He just looks like an old beat-down wrestler. He looks like Killer Kowalski. I don't know if you've ever seen film of this guy. He's the guy who trained Triple H and many others. He was this old crab man. He used to wrestle with Bruno, and I never thought he was particularly too entertaining. And that's what Kurt Angle looks like now to me, just like an old crab man in the ring. Like, he's all hunched over. And the knee, you can tell the knee has significantly slowed his game down. He has gone from fourth gear to second gear. I don't even think he can get it back in third gear. You look at Daniel Bryan and the pace he wrestles at, and this is what really makes him special, is when it's time for his hot comeback, he can really kick up the pace. And Angle was one of the innovators of that, especially for the modern style of wrestling, incorporating like Olympic and MMA kind of style into it, which you see Brian and Punk and a lot of these guys have taken it to the next level, since Kurt kind of innovated it. And even guys like Brett and Sean and Ken Shamrock before that. So I don't know. I just feel like Kurt, it's time to retire. And if you actually like analyze his in-ring style and what he's doing in the ring now, it's interesting that you kind of understand why Triple H said no to him. You kind of understand. Like, Triple H isn't stupid. He's watching film, and I'll go to bat for him on this one. Like, he probably made the right call. But it's interesting, right? Because they bring in Sting and Bully Ray. The two other main, besides AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy, probably the two main TNA guys. Bully Ray and Sting. And both bring them in prominent roles. I mean, Bully Ray may have been a one and done. We may never even see him again. But still.
Bully Ray is in, like, the best shape of his life, though. Like, he seriously is so good right now. And same with Sting. Like, I think Sting is totally capable of still wrestling and everything. But Kurt Angle, he'll always be one of my favorites. He's actually top 3 favorite wrestlers of all time. Goes Shawn Michaels, probably then Ric Flair, then Kurt Angle. But obviously with him retiring, that doesn't obviously mean that he has to not be in WWE or something like that. He can help train. He can do stuff behind scenes and everything like, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble are doing. Because that's kind of what Corey Graves is doing. He obviously had to retire, and now he's on commentary. I think he has a 1-year commentary contract or something like that. I think that's what Triple H gave him.
I've been enjoying. He actually looks, and his shtick is very similar to my good friend Dave Dyer, and we were going back and forth on Facebook about this the other day. It was funny, but no, I like Graves. It's a shame what happened. You got the kind of Nigel McGuinness kind of thing there, where the injuries caught up with him, the concussions and all that stuff. So good for WWE for giving him a contract. But yeah, with Angle, I agree. Maybe behind the scenes or even commentary or general manager role, but he wanted to come back and wrestle. I mean, the rumor was him and Lesnar.
Like Hulk Hogan.
Oh, God. You know what? At this point, I don't even know who else Kurt... And they might as well book him against Hogan. Because that's kind of where Kurt's at now. Like how Hulk Hogan...
bad that match would be?
It'd be bad, but that's kind of Kurt's pace now. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Kurt... Can you imagine Rusev would kill Kurt now? Like Brock Lesnar would kill Kurt. He's not the same guy, and I feel like he can't even hang with a guy like Joe, who me and you both agree is not in the prime of his career anymore. Never mind, like, these young studs, and I see guys in the indies, like, that are like, oh my God, like, I mean, even a couple of years ago, Kurt was still having great matches with the likes of AJ Styles and Bobby Roode and Sting and Bully Ray, and pulling out great matches. The feud with Jeff Jarrett, all that stuff, great stuff. I just think now it's sad. Kurt's become one of these guys who's hung on too long, and I never thought he would be that guy. And conversely, I look at Jeff Hardy, and as much as people can say Jeff's taking all these risks and Jeff should be dead and all this stuff, the guy can still go. I mean, even Matt can still go. But I mean, I watched the Hardys, and they haven't missed a beat. And, like, some of the stuff Jeff's been doing, I don't know if you saw the one match where Jeff kind of did the Undertaker walk on the top rope, but instead of that, he ran, and he did, like, his old spot he used to do off the barricade, but he did off the top rope where he did the splash or whatever. It's like, damn, Jeff, like, you still got it. That crazy bump, which you haven't seen on TV yet, but in the cage match or whatever, and Lethal Lockdown next week, he's going to take a crazy bump, which we all know why behind the scenes. Europe tour's coming up. Jeff can't go. Time to write him off. So he takes a crazy bump, and it looks like he dies, but he's okay. But Jeff, I mean, it's amazing that Jeff's taken so much punishment, and this guy can still go at the level that he can. I mean, look at Edge and Christian. They're both done. Devon doesn't look that great. Bully Ray can still go, no doubt about that. But I mean, Matt and Jeff, props to Matt as well. Matt's changed his life. Matt's gone clean and sober. He really hit a low point in his life, and Matt's really turned it around, and I know his marriage has been up.
And we lost Joe. But, yeah, I agree. I think, as much as I love Kurt Angle, I do think that he needs to just calm down because when he does come back as wrestling, he's only there, and this has happened, I think, probably the past 2 years, to me at least. He'll come back after an injury, healing up, and he'll only last like 3 or 4 months. Then he'll get re-injured again, or something will happen, and then he'll leave again. So it's just like, what's the point? I think he needs to just stay out of the ring.
What, Kurt, you're saying? Exactly. I mean, I love him, and I feel like let him finish up in TNA. He can do. Like, he's already a TNA Hall of Famer. Like, what's more to accomplish at this point? And when you think about the TNA Hall of Fame concept, it's almost like a goodbye. Like, I mean, every Hall of Famer is left, except for Kurt Angle. Sting left. The Dudleys left. Yeah, I mean, they might as well give it to AJ, even though he's gone. Like, I'm surprised they didn't give it to him too. Like, it's just kind of like a goodbye ceremony almost.
Alrighty. Did you want to talk about something else?
I mean, I just kind of had the 2 points on the Hardys. Did you have any thoughts on the Hardys?
People think I'm crazy, but I never really was a fan of either of them. They're entertaining and everything, and I do think they're good. I always preferred Edge and Christian. That was my tag team. And the Dudley Boys. Those were my 2 tag teams, pretty much.
I'm with you. I'm Team Edge and Christian all day. They're my favorite tag team of all time. I look at it, though, and it's like, I look at that era, Haley, as the golden age. So, and Jeff, I always loved Jeff. I always thought Matt was kind of douchey, even though I met Matt, and he was very good to me when I met him as a teenager. But I always thought Matt, with the whole when Lita left him, he kind of came off poor me and aired his grief on the internet, and obviously it turned into a storyline and got his job back that way. But I always thought Matt was kind of whiny. I mean, and we've seen Matt. I mean, Rebby Sky beat him up. I was going to say that before the connection lost. His wife beat him up not too long ago, and his mugshot was on TMZ. Matt's had his issues, and Jeff's clearly had his issues as well. Jeff always reminded me of, like, Steve-O from Jackass. It's just, I always felt like Jeff had that X factor that Matt doesn't have. Like, and that's why, like, Jeff's been a world champion everywhere he's been, and Matt hasn't. Overall, I think they're a Hall of Fame tag team, just like the Dudleys and just like Edge and Christian. And I feel like looking back on it now, 10 years removed, 15 years removed almost from these matches, I feel, and then seeing the Hardys and Dudleys mixed in there with the Wolves last year is kind of like a revisit to it, which I thought was well done by TNA, that whole series of matches. It really makes me appreciate the risk these guys took and how far they set the bar high. Because if you remember the bumps that Jeff took, I mean, what a crazy son of a bitch. I mean, even back then, before he was a world champion, hanging off the ladder and the hangy thing, and Edge spears him.
Oh, yeah, that was my favorite. I was just going to say that was my favorite.
And the Swanton through 3 tables on Bubba, or I think that was Royal Rumble, or, just how can you not respect what the Hardys have done? I mean, look, I'm an Edge Christian guy, I hear you, but you got to give respect that they are one of the greatest ever, and I think a team like the Young Bucks and the Wolves and these teams, they could certainly learn a lot from a team like the Hardys, who've been there, done that, and one of the greatest ever. I think they're better than the Rockers. I think they're better than the Midnight. I think 1, 2, 3, greatest of all time, and this is no disrespect to LOD. Get ready, get butt hurt marks, or APA, or Harlem Heat, or Steiner Brothers. But I could make an argument that Hardys, Dudleys, and Christian, in whatever order you want to put them in, are the 3 greatest ever for what they've done for tag team wrestling. They revolutionized. I mean, the Dudleys going back to ECW and then going into WWE, Edge and Christian, of course. And then, you can't understate what the Hardys accomplished. And they helped establish Lita as well, who is one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, or at least, characters of all time. So their business, they should be in the WWE Hall of Fame as the Hardys. I think all 3 teams should be in. Edge and Christian and the Hardys.
Yeah, I know Kevin Nash is supposed to be in this year. That's what the rumors are. And what else did they say? I forgot who else they said.
I heard DDP possibly. DDP I heard is a possibility as well.
Yeah, I think that was the one. Yeah.
Which is interesting because you kind of got a WCW feel now. Macho Man spent the second half of his career in WCW, and you're bringing in Sting. Sting will probably go in next year. You already got Booker in last year, and you're going to do Nash. You're going to do, and that's going to probably set up for NWO getting in as a group the following year because Hogan and Hall are already in. So
Hmm.
it would be weird for Nash not to be in on his own. He held the WWE title for over a year and beat Goldberg's streak and everything like that. So Nash deserves to be in on his own as well. And then you put the three in probably together, and I think X-Pac you'll put in with DX, not NWO.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the rumor, and good for Big Kev. It looked scary there for a minute with his domestic issue on Christmas, which I'm
Yeah.
glad that WWE's given Kevin a second chance, because if you look at the facts of that, it's just a sticky situation. It's not a Ray Rice kind of situation. It was one of those situations where I think WWE acted too fast by suspended Big Kev.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, that was all over the place, but that's okay. We just
Zigging and
talked about a
zagging,
whole
man.
bunch of different stuff. Hmm?
Zigging and zagging. It was kind of like an extra video, although we can certainly cover the main points of TNA as well.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. And don't forget to um, join our Facebook group. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.